Do you think your family structure had any effect on your schooling?
Yeah, my family structure definitely had an influence on my schooling. Um, I had two moms, and um, I always was really embarrassed growing up that I had two moms because nobody else had two moms. Everybody else either had a dad or, quite a few didn't have a dad. They were divorced, but it was very strange to have two moms. So, going to school, I didn't talk about that with my friends, and they didn't ask. But, I never had friends over for that reason because that was embarrassing for me. I didn't know how to explain that. I wasn't explaining very well why I had two moms to begin with, so I didn't know how to take that to school and share that with my teachers or friends, so we didn't talk about it. Teachers didn't ask, so I didn't tell. And so I guess I just went through school feeling kind of alone in the area, and feeling like I couldn't ask questions, or just kind of alone in that sense. And so that's kind of how it affected me then.
Were there any specific incidences that stand out to you that made you feel lonely or just different than other people?
There was a lot of, like we talked about earlier, there's, school functions all the time. I was involved a lot growing up in sports and in academics and stuff, which required your parents and family members to come in and be involved and support you. And it was always really strange because, of course I wanted to have my mom there, but, her girlfriend, would want to come, and I didn't feel comfortable with that, and no one else knew what to think of that situation. And so, I didn't have a father growing up, and he wouldn't be there, and so people would ask questions like, why is just your mom here? And, I always grew up telling people that my mom's girlfriend was really her roommate. So it was always referred to as, my mom doesn't have a girlfriend, it's her roommate. And for me, that made it easier, to be quite honest. I didn't have to explain that. I didn't have to explain the dynamics of the relationship, what a girlfriend and girlfriend meant. So for me, that made it easier, and I used that growing up. Probably all the way into high school, I used my mom just has a roommate. So, yeah, it was difficult in those times whenever all my friends were bringing their mom and dad, and I just had my mom there. She would never bring her roommate or, my mom's girlfriend, and I didn't want her to because I was embarrassed and ashamed, and I wondered why I didn't have my dad there, or why I did have two moms. Why didn't anybody else have two moms? Why was I so strange and different, and what did that mean about me? Was that something I did to make me have two moms, or, I didn't know. So, yeah, there were several times that made that difficult.
Is there anything like the teacher or the school could have done to just maybe make it easier, to make you feel more included?
What are you talking about now? How?
Well, we talked about, those, like Molly Has Two Moms, those kind of
Right.
books, if those were introduced in the classroom.
Right. Yeah, certainly, because having two moms was not talked about. Having, the family dynamics back then, and I say that like I'm so old, I'm only 25, but even so, it's become so much more prevalent now. Back 15 years ago, they didn't talk about that. They didn't have books and things growing up in classes where it made it easier for children to relate to other children's family dynamics. It was a certain way, and if you didn't have that sort of family structure, then it wasn't talked about. And it certainly wasn't when I grew up. And I think if there were books like that where it kind of portrayed not all families being the same, it would have been easier for me to open up about that, or for me to ask questions, or for other children to ask questions, and me not feel so singled out at school and in those activities where you invited family to school and things like that. I think that definitely would have been helpful for everybody, because even teachers were uncomfortable to ask questions and to talk about it, you know. So, yeah, definitely would have been helpful.
Alrighty, thanks.
Welcome.